it's gonna be up to us to figure out whose fault it is. Happy apple picking day! Real quick, if you want a chance for one of your stories to be submitted on Am I the Bad Apple, you can submit it to my subreddit, r/AmITheBadApple. And as always, a quick reminder that we all come from different branches of the apple tree and have different life experiences. And those experiences will guide our thoughts and opinions and perspectives. So while you all discuss in the comments, just remember that it's never okay to shame someone for just not experiencing something or having a different perspective because of their background. You're just gonna look rude and no one's gonna wanna listen to what you have to say. We're practicing healthy communication. And if you guys just disagree, you just disagree. Boo-hoo, it happens. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking. Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for airing out my family's dirty laundry at Thanksgiving dinner? I'm a 29 female, and the players here are my mom, my stepdad, and 4 step-siblings, 35 male, 37 male, 40 female, and 42 male, and also their families. I am the black sheep in the family in that I'm the only one not married with kids, but that's just my preference. I love living alone and I don't want kids, and having a partner just isn't important to me. My family's been asking when I'm gonna get a boyfriend and when I'm gonna settle down since I was 19, and the answer's always been, never. I was gonna skip Thanksgiving, but my mom insisted that she wanted everyone home this year if possible, so I went. It was the usual drill, but the youngest stepbrother and his wife are having another kid, so I guess there was a big announcement. It was fine until the end of dinner when one of my stepsister-in-laws asked if I'm anxious to have kids since I'm almost 30 and time's running out. I laughed and said, nah, I'm good. That led to one of my other stepbrothers saying that every family needs an old maid and aunt and some other comments that I didn't appreciate. I said, let's move on, but my mom said, honey, we're just worried about you. This is where I might be the jerk. I know all the family dirt, so I said,
well, I'm the only person at this table that's not an alcoholic, a cheater, or constantly broke because I have more children than I can afford, so I don't think I'm the one to worry about.
And that is how I brought Thanksgiving to a dead halt. And no one said a thing for the rest of dinner, but my texts certainly are still radioactive. I feel like I was probably riding the line, and my mom says I caused a lot of problems amongst the siblings and their spouses, so. But you know, they kind of started it. Like, if they would just mind their business, we wouldn't have this problem. So, was I the bad apple? This is one of those situations where I feel like my vote won't match what, like, I would have done in that situation. I think, maybe. Because sometimes, you know, I totally get the family ragging on you to have kids, right? Like, my father-in-law really, really wants Avery and I to have children. Like, I mean, my family does too, but my father-in-law really lets us know. So I definitely understand the frustration and the pent-up, like, oh my God, stop talking! But I don't know if I would have, like, caused a scene like that. That's just not my style. Like, if I'm gonna cause a scene like that, it's gotta be for something really big and bad, and that just doesn't push my buttons to the edge like it might push hers. Like, it's annoying, yeah, but it's like, whatever. And before the keyboard warriors start, I'm not justifying them nagging at her or anything like that. I'm just saying that I don't think I would have responded in that way, and that's okay. Like, I guess you can just be mad at it. I don't know. But I don't necessarily think that, like, she's a bad person for doing it, if that makes sense. Like, do I think that it was a little uncalled for? Yeah, like, I don't agree. I wouldn't have done it myself, but I don't think that she's bad for doing it. Like, when you're sitting there and you're making someone feel like their life choices, they're legal, they're not unhealthy, at least, like, I know you might think that they're unhealthy, like some people who are watching this, but like, these are choices that she's making about her life that are fine. They're not harming anyone. You just don't agree with them. And I feel like when you go out of your way to like guilt someone about those types of things, like, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen kind of thing. Like, if you're gonna dish it out, make sure that you can take it. So I don't really feel bad for them getting called out for poor life choices that actually are very poor. Cheating on your spouse, don't tell me that's not a poor choice, okay? Now the alcoholic one, that's the one comment that I'm really not a huge fan of, because alcoholism and addiction and things like that is a disease, and that is like a real struggle that people go through. So like, it's definitely not something that I would throw in someone's face of, well, at least I don't have this disease. Like, that to me is a little much. But overall, again, like, I still stand by the whole, like, if you're gonna dish it out, make sure that you can take it. And I don't feel bad for them for, like, they're giving her such a bad time. They're making her feel so guilty because she's living her life in a fine way and they just don't agree with it. So like, yeah, if you're gonna throw her life in her face, I guess, like, I can't be mad at her for throwing it back at them, which again, I wouldn't have acted the same way, but I feel like I will still go good apple. The throwing the alcoholism in their face, like, kind of nudges me a little towards crab apple. Like, I really don't like that, but overall, I think I'll go good apple, and just maybe some of you guys can convince me in the comments to, like, move over to the orange side. It is Thanksgiving after all, and I don't know if any of you guys, like, associate holidays with colors, but for me, Thanksgiving is orange, always. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for not letting my brother and sister-in-law see my daughter? I have a 4-year-old daughter, Emma. I'm also an alcoholic, and I've been sober for 2 years. My brother was Emma's court-appointed guardian from when she was 15 months old to just before her 3rd birthday. I had to fight for almost a year to get her back. My brother and sister-in-law are still very upset that I took Emma from them and have called CPS on me numerous times and made it clear they don't trust me to care for my own child. They love Emma and Emma loves them, so I try to take her to see them a couple times a month at least. A couple weeks ago, Emma caught the stomach flu from someone at her preschool. I'm in school full time and I had a midterm that day, so I asked my brother to watch her for a couple hours so I could take my test. They said they were happy to take her, so I brought her to their house that morning with her medicine, then a whole schedule of when she's supposed to be taking which pill and what dosage and all those things, as well as a bottle of Pedialyte and some changes of clothes. You know, just trying to stay on top of things, of whatever they might need. I came to pick her up after the midterm, and half her medications, her clothes, and her Pedialyte were just gone. I asked where they went, and they said they threw away all of her medicines and the Pedialyte because
they were liquids and they were already open, so I could have put something in there to make her sick or sleep.
What? I've never ever harmed my daughter or given her anything that wasn't recommended by her pediatrician, like ever. There's not even merit to that basis. They also said that I shouldn't be giving her Tylenol and Motrin, which again her doctor said was fine. So they didn't give her any of the medications the doctor said to. I then asked her about the prescription medication from the doctor, and they said, yeah, she doesn't need that either. And finally, they felt her clothes weren't good enough for her, so they gave them to their neighbor for their garage sale and bought her new clothes, meaning they most likely took her shopping when she was sick and should have been resting. I left with Emma, and I haven't spoken to them since, except to tell them that they're not allowed anywhere near my child unsupervised. I'm working on Thanksgiving, so I was originally gonna drop off Emma with my parents so she could see the family, but I don't want her to be around them without me, so I'm leaving her with a babysitter instead. Now my family is giving me a hard time for not letting my brother and sister-in-law see Emma, and they're excusing what they did by saying they were just worried about her. Am I the bad apple for not letting my daughter see them? These people, in my opinion, are so gross. Not the OP, the brother and the sister-in-law. This is just, okay, like this is like a really big pet peeve that I have, okay? When people step up to foster, right? The foster program needs so many more good human beings that are willing to partake in the foster program. And I think one of the many issues within the foster care system is people going into foster care under the impression that like whatever kids they get in their household, like those are not my kids, right? Those are my kids and I'm gonna have them forever. No. The goal of a lot of foster situations is to eventually reunite the child with their parent. Like that's the goal. You want the parent to reach the bar to be like an acceptable, good parent for their child. Like, you want that. You want the reunification. Like, that's the whole point of them being in the foster care system and not like up for adoption. Now, I know some keyboard warriors might be coming at me because I might get some terms incorrectly or anything. Like, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not. I have no experience with foster care or adoption or anything like that. I just know that there are trends of people who like are not interested in reunification and are like they have their foster kids call them mom and dad. Like, I don't like that stuff. I think that's really unfair, because when there are parents out there who are working on themselves and trying so hard to better themselves to be the parent that their children deserves, like, that is so commendable. Like, good job. That is amazing. I met a YouTuber who did that exact thing for her kids so she could be the mom that they deserved, and that's a beautiful thing. We should be celebrating that. We should be rewarding that, not telling them they'll never be good enough. I feel like the brother and the sister-in-law are not only sabotaging her relationship with her daughter, but like also her recovery. Like, what? You're telling her you don't trust this woman not to slip something in her child's drink? There's never been any instance of that happening. What do you mean? They've called CPS on you? Like, honestly, I think this woman has been too nice. Yes, it was a wonderful, amazing thing that the brother stepped up and decided to be a temporary guardian for his niece while his sister got her life together. That was great of him. He needs to understand that he's not Emma's dad. I feel like brother and stepsister went into this assuming, like, I feel like they genuinely think Emma is still their daughter, and she's not. And I think it's very unfair for them to continue to like try and undermine this mom, tell, we don't trust you, but it's not your business. This isn't your child. You don't have to. And I think it's really ridiculous that the parents are encouraging, oh, well, they're just worried about her. Are you not worried about your daughter's recovery? Are you not worried about your daughter like keeping a sane mind because her brother is trying to undermine her recovery, her parenting? Like, what? Honestly, I think that she's been giving them too much access to this child, and I fully support cutting them off until they understand that Emma is not their kid and that they have to like have boundaries. Now, I know that there's going to be some people in the comments who are really concerned for the child's safety and blah, 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 but like, if she's sober and she's working towards getting a degree, there's never been any instances of her like doing anything wrong to the child. Don't give me the crap about, well, you just never know if she slips up. There's no reason to be concerned. She's sober, she's in school, she's turning her life around. This is unnecessary. Calling CPS over what? And I feel like there's going to be people in the comments that are like, well, you don't know what they're calling for. I do know that if she's already had her daughter taken away from her and she's had CPS called on her again, if there was any merit to those accusations, she would be snagged right back from her. Okay, but she wasn't. Meaning, everything's fine, right? Everything's fine. I get that there are some people out there who do slip and become unfit parents again. I don't think this is the case. And we should never, ever, ever discourage parents from trying to turn their life around for their children. I think she's doing a great job, and I stand by Good Apple, and I stand by brother-in-law and sister-in-law. They need a break from Emma. They need to understand that Emma is not their kid. I said what I said. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for not going to Thanksgiving at all? I'm the youngest cousin in a family by a lot. I was kind of a surprise or mistake. And all of my older cousins have kids. Every Thanksgiving, we go to my aunt's house and my cousins put their kids in the playroom and they start drinking all night. Then I get stuck watching the kids all day. Anytime one cries or has to go to the bathroom, any of them fight, I'm the one that's stuck dealing with it. And they also make me sit at the kids' table. I'm not a child. I'm 22 years old. I complain to my mom every year and she just tells me, oh, it's not like that. And is it a big deal to give the parents a day off? I don't even look forward to Thanksgiving anymore because it happens every year. My boyfriend invited me to his family's Thanksgiving this year and I decided to go. I told my mom and she's flipping out, telling me it'll break her heart not to have me for Thanksgiving and everyone will miss me, but I just want to enjoy Thanksgiving for once in my life. So was I the bad apple? I will never ever give someone a bad apple for just going to like a different Thanksgiving celebration when their family wants them there. And like that's just period. I don't even care why. Because like if you think about it, at some point, if you end up marrying someone, realistically a lot of people can only attend like one Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving, unless they decide to do a Saturday or a Friday. Like with Avery and my family, we usually do Thanksgiving Day with my family and our family friends, and then we do something on Saturday with his family. Because, you know, our families are 2 hours away and we can't do both. So, like, the whole, just in general, like, not even adding all the details, well, I want to go with my boyfriend. I'm a grown adult, 22-year-old woman, and I want to go to my boyfriend's family's Thanksgiving. Like, that's valid. You're not wrong for doing that, because the alternative is that you would both be at your family's and he would be missing his. Like, you're missing one regardless, you know? And, like, great for people who are able to do both in one day, but not everyone can or wants to do that. Like, you should be enjoying Thanksgiving. You should have a good time. You shouldn't be stressed about,
well, we've been here for 2 hours, and if we want to make it to Cousin Susan's, we have to leave right now.
that's too much. I mean, if you like to do that, hats off to you, but I hate that. Like, our families are 2 hours away. So like we used to do, we would go lunch 2 hours away to his family's and then try to make it back for early dinner. And it wasn't fun. It was so not fun. And we live around near my family. So this is so much easier. It's so much easier. But adding in like all the details, period, I'm already going good apple for that reason. Like you can't change my mind on that. Adding in all the reasons, even more so, no. Like you are telling your family, I don't want to babysit. I want to enjoy family time. I'm a 22-year-old. Why am I at the kids' table? And they're not taking you seriously and they're using you as free childcare. And it's perfectly valid for you to say no. Like it would be different if they actually talked to you about it beforehand or asked or paid you or something, but no, no. I always say this, I cannot stand people who just assume that when you have children, your children becomes everybody else's responsibility and problems and priorities and blah, blah, blah. No, I don't have kids because I don't want to be responsible for a kid. You're not just gonna decide that I'm responsible for your child because you want me to be. No. Good apple, that's what I'm going. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple for introducing my boyfriend's parents as grandma and grandpa? I, 29 female, went over to my boyfriend Jay's house, 25 male, for his family's Thanksgiving and brought my son, 4 years old, with me. Jay and I have been together for a year and a half now, and he's the most amazing man in the world. He's been amazing with my son, whose biological father is not in his life, and I can really see Jay as the one. Jay's parents came over as well, and it's not that I don't get along with them, it's just that I've only really met them 3 times before this Thanksgiving. I haven't had any real time to bond with them, I guess, and they've never met my son in person either, but they know about him. By the time I arrived, Jay's parents were already there and helping him finish up dinner. We greeted each other, and Jay's dad asked, "Oh, and who's this little guy?" I introduced them to my son and then introduced Jay's parents as grandma and grandpa to my precious boy. I didn't notice at the time, but all 3 of them became quiet almost immediately. I ended up waiting in the living room alone for almost half an hour before dinner, and things were just incredibly awkward for the rest of the night. My son did end up calling his parents grandma and grandpa, and I quickly noticed both of them would be very disingenuous and awkward about it over dinner, but they didn't say anything to me about it. They didn't stick around long after dinner either, but when they both left, they were very cold to me. I asked Jay what their deal was, and he lost it at me. He claims that I put him in an incredibly awkward position and that his parents apparently didn't think we were that serious yet and began to question him if I was using him as a replacement daddy. He said that it was way out of line for me to introduce them that way without even talking to him beforehand. I think he's being ridiculous. If one day he's gonna be my son's stepdad, then why go through all this formal nonsense? He claimed it's not the point, and we just ended up fighting till I stormed out. We haven't talked since, and I've simply been waiting for an apology. I talked with my sister about it last night, and she was mortified to hear how I acted. She's saying that she also didn't get the read that we were all that serious, and she's never felt like Jay intended to take on a dad role. Now it's got me questioning if I'm wrong. So, was I the bad apple? Yeah. So I'll tell you a little story. When my brother was starting college, he was seeing this girl, right? And he liked her a lot. And bless her heart, she's very sweet, but her family really put on her like the mom role. So like she was like 18 or something like that, and she had a 3-year-old little sister and then an 8-year-old brother, and like they made her play Mrs. Mom, meaning that my brother kind of had to take on that role of Mr. Dad, and my family, like, we hated that for him because like you're 20, and yes, if you do end up together, like eventually that could come with like some added roles depending on how family dynamics work out and things like that, but to just throw that on someone like that, like we just did not like that situation for him at all. And you know, of course, if they were to end up together and you know, dynamics might change a little bit, but that's just a lot to put on someone at first and assume like, hey, you're gonna be fine with this. Like it's fine. Like, you know, it's something that you want, you know, like when you see your loved one in that kind of situation, or you are a person like in that situation, you want it to be a thought out decision, right? You want them to not just be in honeymoon phases of relationship, taking on the role of responsibility for a child. Like that's a really big decision. And as a parent, I'm not a parent, we know this, but I would assume that if you have a child, you would want your partner to really sit and think and decide, like make a wholehearted decision of, yes, I want to take on the role of another parent in this child's life, not like a quick whim of, oh yeah, I love this relationship, we've been together for a couple months, I'm so in love, blah, 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 and then after a year, then be like, you're such a good kid, but I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and like, you know, I feel like that overall would be so much more harmful. I don't know if I'm making sense at all. I'm kind of rambling. I totally understand why everyone was frustrated. I totally understand why everyone was uncomfortable, because I am relating it to the experience that I had with my brother. Like, we were all very worried, concerned, a little uncomfortable. You know, that's a lot to put on a young person. And you have to also remember, the people in the story, he's 25, she's about 30, she's 29. And I say this in my podcast all the time. Every year in your 20s is like a couple years of maturity. Like it really makes a difference. So I just feel like this was a lot of responsibility that this OP just assumed her boyfriend was okay with and decided, okay, you're now in the dad role, and okay, my family is now your family and your family is now my family. And like that wasn't talked about. And I would also, as a family member of that guy, the red flags would go off in my brain of, are you good? Are you loved? Like, this is an equal partnership? Are you, like, how much are you doing for the kid? Like, not as a, you shouldn't be taking on the role, but like as a precaution of, this seems very fast and this is a lot of responsibility very fast. Are you good? Is this what you want? Is this like a healthy thing? Like, I actually think it's very good that the red flags went off for these parents, because like they really are just looking out for the well-being of their kid, and they didn't, you know, call her out. They didn't go out of their way to make her feel bad. They at least tried to act okay and enthusiastic. She's like, oh, it was so disingenuous. I can definitely see them being uncomfortable, but they didn't like try to take it out on the kid. Like they did their best to be respectful and just leave as soon as they could. And I think they acted pretty okay considering, like, you know what I mean? I'm still rambling. My opinion is that, do I think she was malicious? No. I don't think she was trying to get anybody. I don't think that she was trying to, like, do anything malicious. But I do think that she was just so excited. She's in love. She thinks she found the one. She loves the people that her child is associating with. And she just got a little too excited. She's still wrong, though. She's still in the wrong. And I know that everyone in this community has different opinions on, what creates a bad apple versus a crab apple. I'm still going to go bad apple, okay? I am, for a few reasons. For starters, like, she's just flat out wrong. Like, it was just wrong. There was no, oh, well, this might have been okay. No. She made a bad call. She made a wrong call. Now, I know that sometimes, depending on the situation, if I think someone acted badly, but it wasn't malicious, I might award crab apple instead of bad apple, but I'm not in this situation. For me, bad apple feels right. Again, just because someone is labeled as a bad apple doesn't make them a bad person. It means that their choices were wrong. They were the wrong person in this situation. I probably would switch to crab apple if she wasn't like, we haven't talked in a few days and it's because I'm waiting for an apology. Like that, I didn't like that. Or when she said, oh, well, I could tell like they were getting quiet and they were uncomfortable and they were disingenuous when my child called them grandma and grandpa. Like, she clearly knew something was wrong and she caught on that something was wrong, but didn't question, didn't apologize, like didn't check in. So like that lack of self-awareness, like that's why I'm not going over to crab apple, even though I don't think she was being malicious. I'm still going bad apple. I really hope that like it works out for her because she seemed very happy and it seemed like a good situation, but I do definitely think that she messed that up. I think that everyone else's uncomfortability and upsetness was justified because like you can't just decide for someone else, oh hey, you're in a serious relationship now. Like, when it comes to milestones with couples, that's something that you talk about. You discuss, hey, are we exclusive? You discuss, hey, are we gonna move in together? Hey, you discuss, or you ask, like, will you marry me? It's not something that you just, okay, we're married now. Like, that's not how that happens. Or like, I've decided that we're engaged. Like, you don't do that. That's something that you decide together. And we like healthy relationships. We like communication. There was none here, so we don't like that. Bad apple. All right, so for me, I got 3 good apples and 1 bad apple. I would love to know what you guys got. If you got anything similar or different, let me know down in the comments. As always, I don't always get to respond to everything, but I read, like, I sit there and scroll and read, like, everything. And for your well wishes today, I know we are all venturing out to Thanksgiving this week, and I genuinely hope you all have a great time with your families, okay? I hope there's no drama. I hope Uncle Steve leaves you alone and doesn't try to bring up politics. I hope Aunt Jenna doesn't try to bring up, do you have a boyfriend or a girl? Like, I hope that everyone just has a good time and everyone just visits and it's relaxing. And let me know down in the comments what your Thanksgiving traditions are. I love to hear them. We always, my family, we always do all major holidays with some family friends that we've had for like 20, 25 years. So if you guys ever, like on my Instagram stories, if you see I'm like, oh, it's Auntie Beck's day, and I have like the sweetest, smiliest little baby on there, that is one of my best friends. We've been best friends for 20, 25 years. It's her family that we always do all major holidays with. So yeah, that's where we will be for Thanksgiving. And can't wait to hear what you guys are up to. As always, if you want a chance for one of your stories to be featured on Am I the Bad Apple, you can submit it to my subreddit r/AmITheBadApple. And thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I hope to see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.